The planet shimmered under the light of two suns. Its forests were unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. Trees with translucent leaves swayed as if they were breathing. Rivers floated slightly above the ground, reflecting the golden and violet hues of the sky. His boots sank softly into the mossy surface, each step releasing a faint glow from the bioluminescent plants. Ethan wiped the sweat from his brow and glanced at his team. They were scientists, explorers, and engineers, all marveling at the alien landscape. Yet despite their excitement, there was an unspoken tension in the air. This world, so beautiful and strange, felt alive in ways humans could barely understand. "Stay close," Ethan whispered, although he knew his team was already in awe of their surroundings. "This isn't Earth. The rules here might be different." Ahead, they approached a grand clearing where the inhabitants of the planet had gathered. From afar, Ethan could see them, tall, graceful beings with shimmering skin in shades of pale blue, soft silver, and hints of gold. Their eyes were large and luminous, filled with wisdom and curiosity. And at the center, on an elevated platform, sat the Queen, Lyra. She was more than beautiful. She carried an aura of calm authority. Her robes flowed like liquid silk, and her eyes scanned the crowd with serene attention. When they met Ethan's gaze, he felt a strange sense of recognition, as if she could see the courage and the doubts inside him. The welcoming ceremony began. Soft music filled the air, not produced by instruments but by the very wind weaving melodies through the trees. Ethan took notes, documenting every detail. The intricate gestures of the citizens, the subtle glow of the flora responding to the Queen's presence, the harmony of this alien world. But suddenly, a sharp whistle cut through the serene atmosphere. Ethan barely had time to react. From the edge of the clearing, a figure in dark robes loomed, bow drawn, arrow tipped with a faint green glow, the unmistakable sign of poison. Ethan's heart froze. He could see the tension in Lyra's eyes, the subtle shift in her posture, a signal to her guards. But instinct drove him forward before his mind could process the danger. "Watch out," he shouted, diving toward the Queen. His body slammed against hers just as the arrow struck. The world seemed to slow. He felt the arrow graze his shoulder, its poison burning like ice, but the impact was softened enough that Lyra remained unharmed. The alien guards reacted immediately, surrounding the intruder. Ethan struggled to stay conscious, the world tilting dangerously as the poison seeped into his bloodstream. But Lyra's voice, soft yet commanding, cut through the chaos. "Hold him. Do not harm." Ethan blinked, surprised. In that moment, he realized this Queen was not just a leader. She was a protector, even of someone who had just endangered her. Her eyes met his again, and there was no fear, only a quiet question. "Why did you do this?" The intruder was quickly restrained and taken away. The crowd murmured, but the ceremony continued, slower, more cautious, as if the planet itself was holding its breath. Ethan's team rushed to his side, checking for injuries. "You're going to be fine," one of them said, though Ethan could barely respond. Lyra descended from the platform, her presence calm and deliberate. She stopped just in front of him, her glowing hands hovering slightly above his shoulder. "Human," she said softly, her voice melodic but firm. "You have risked yourself for my life. Why?" Ethan tried to sit up straighter, his pride warring with the pain coursing through him. I couldn't just stand there." "You didn't deserve it." Lyra's gaze lingered on him. No other human had ever shown such instinctive courage in her presence. Most visitors came for knowledge or resources, not out of loyalty or compassion. "You are different," she said. "I will remember this." For the rest of the day, Ethan was tended to by the Queen's healers. Alien medicine was unlike anything humans used. A soft light touched his wound, and the burning sensation slowly faded. By the time he could stand again, the poison had been neutralized entirely. That evening, Lyra returned to him privately. "I wish to understand you," she said. "Why do your kind risk life so readily for others? What makes you courageous?" Ethan paused, considering his answer. "Maybe it's hope," he said finally. "Humans, we keep going because we believe our actions matter, even if the odds are against us." She nodded, a small smile forming. "Then hope brought you to me today." The sky darkened, revealing twin moons that cast silver light over the floating rivers. Ethan looked out at the landscape, still trying to grasp the full reality of this world. Somehow he had landed here by chance, but now he realized nothing about his presence was accidental. The Queen's eyes held a spark of curiosity, a promise that their paths were intertwined in ways he could not yet comprehend. In the following days, Ethan was allowed closer to the palace. He observed the Queen's daily life, learning how her people moved, how they communicated without words, and how their society balanced intellect, compassion, and intuition. Every detail fascinated him, but what struck him most was the subtle vulnerability of Lyra's position. Many admired her openly, but Ethan sensed whispers of doubt, factions quietly plotting. Despite his own limitations as a human, he was determined to be useful. Each day he shared small insights from human engineering, survival tactics, and problem-solving strategies. The aliens listened with polite curiosity, but only Lyra truly considered the deeper value. The ability to anticipate danger, the unpredictable ways humans reacted, and their capacity to adapt in moments of crisis. One afternoon, Ethan accompanied Lyra through the palace gardens. Floating lilies drifted lazily in the air, releasing soft golden pollen that smelled faintly of honey. Lyra paused near a translucent fountain, her gaze distant. "You have seen danger and yet remain calm," she said. "It is rare even among my people." "Guess humans get used to chaos," Ethan replied. "But I'm learning from you too. Your people, they're amazing." Lyra studied him, her expression unreadable for a moment. Then softly she said, "Perhaps humans and my people are not so different. Both face uncertainty. Both must protect what is precious." That night Ethan lay in the guest quarters, staring at the softly glowing ceiling. He thought about the arrow, about the Queen, and about the strange connection forming between them. He realized that his instinct to act had not only saved a life but also begun something far greater. A bridge between two worlds, built on trust, courage, and the simple, undeniable truth of human resilience. Far above him, Lyra watched the stars through the palace dome. She did not sleep. Her mind was alive with possibilities, plans, and questions, and somewhere deep in her thoughts she acknowledged a truth she had never expected. The human before her was not just a visitor. He was the beginning of something new, something her people might need more than they realized. And so the first chapter of their intertwined journey closed, with a quiet understanding. One act of courage, a single moment of instinct, had set in motion a chain of events that could change both their worlds forever. The morning sunlight spilled across the palace gardens in soft streams, making the floating lilies shimmer with golden light. Ethan walked beside Lyra, the alien queen, feeling both excitement and tension. Every step on this foreign world reminded him how far he was from Earth, and yet, how connected he felt to this place. Lyra's people moved gracefully around them, their translucent wings flickering gently, leaving faint trails of light. They worked in harmony, caring for the gardens, maintaining the floating rivers, and performing tasks that seemed almost magical to Ethan. He still marveled at their society's elegance and efficiency. Yet beneath the beauty, he could sense the undercurrent of fear. Not fear of him, but fear for their queen. "You must understand," Lyra said softly, her gaze focused on the lilies drifting between them. "Not all my people trust outsiders. Some see humans as unpredictable. Some even see you as a risk," Ethan frowned. "A risk? I saved your life. Shouldn't that count for something?" "It does," she replied, turning to him with a faint smile. "But courage alone is not always enough. Actions must be proven over time in thought, in understanding, and in loyalty." Ethan nodded. He understood. On Earth, people judged you not just by what you did, but by why you did it. Here he would need to show more than bravery. He would need patience, insight, and respect for this world. Their walk took them to a balcony overlooking the central plaza, where citizens gathered to discuss matters of the day. Ethan observed the subtle gestures, the careful way Lyra's people communicated with one another, and the unspoken hierarchy that guided them. Every movement seemed deliberate, every word measured. "Why did you take the risk?" Lyra asked suddenly, her voice carrying a curious tone. Ethan considered it. "I guess, because I saw someone in danger and I couldn't stand by. Humans, we value life no matter whose it is. And sometimes, doing what's right matters more than thinking about consequences." Lyra's eyes seemed to soften. "Your kind has a remarkable spirit. Rarely do we see it in beings outside my planet." She paused, glancing at the floating rivers below. "I am learning from you, Ethan. You remind me that courage does not always come from power, it comes from conviction." Ethan felt a small thrill. The Queen was not just acknowledging his actions. She was seeing the potential for humans to contribute to her world. Over the next few days, Ethan was given access to parts of the palace normally restricted to alien citizens. He studied the alien technology, not to take it away, but to understand how it worked. Lyra allowed him to observe council meetings, where he saw the subtle tensions between factions, some supporting the Queen wholeheartedly, others quietly challenging her decisions. One evening, Lyra took Ethan to a hidden chamber within the palace. The walls glowed softly, revealing patterns that shifted like water. In the center, a holographic map displayed areas of the planet, highlighting regions of unrest and mysterious anomalies. "This chamber holds secrets of my people's history," Lyra explained, "but there are dangers we do not fully understand. Someone tried to harm me, and I suspect they will try again." Ethan examined the map carefully. "Is there a pattern? A clue about who wants to hurt you?" Lyra's gaze met his. "Perhaps, but we cannot know for certain. This is why I wish you to stay close. Your instincts, your ability to act without hesitation, these are things my people admire in theory but rarely experience in practice." Ethan swallowed hard. The responsibility weighed on him, but he did not falter. "I will do whatever I can to help. I promise." Lyra's hand hovered near his shoulder, a gesture of acknowledgement. "Then we begin together." The next day, they walked through the city, observing the citizens as they went about their daily lives. Ethan noticed subtle signs of unrest, whispered conversations, small objects shifted out of place, citizens glancing toward the palace with cautious eyes. "They are cautious," Ethan said, "but not afraid of you. Afraid of what could happen if someone outside your people gets involved?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, trust must be earned, and that is why I value your presence. You are neither completely outside nor completely part of this society. You see things differently. You notice things we might overlook." Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden commotion. From the marketplace, a group of citizens shouted warnings. Ethan and Lyra rushed toward the sound, finding a small fire near a food stall. No one was hurt, but panic was spreading. Ethan instinctively assessed the situation. "We need to contain the fire and guide the people calmly. Lyra, I can help organize the crowd." The Queen nodded, her expression serious. "Lead, human. Show them how humans respond to chaos." Ethan moved quickly, directing citizens to move safely while others formed a line to carry water from nearby floating streams. Using techniques from Earth, forming human chains, clear instructions, calm reassurances, he helped contain the fire before it spread further. After the fire was out, Lyra looked at him with approval. "See, courage is not only in battle. It is in thought, in leadership, in knowing how to act when others panic." Ethan felt a surge of pride. For the first time, he realized that his kind's approach to problem-solving, their instinct to adapt, could make a difference even on a world so different from Earth. That night, Lyra invited him to the palace balcony again. The twin moons reflected on the floating rivers, making the water look like liquid silver. Ethan felt a deep calm, though he knew danger still lurked. "You did well today," Lyra said softly. "Not because you followed orders, but because you understood people. That is a strength my people admire but rarely possess." Ethan smiled. "Thank you. But I couldn't have done it without seeing how your citizens move and work. They're amazing." Lyra's gaze softened, almost like a mother's expression. "Perhaps the bond between our kinds can grow stronger. Your presence here is unusual but valuable. I sense that humans have much to offer, if only we allow them to participate fully." Ethan thought about the arrow, about the palace fire, about the subtle but growing tension in the city. Every day brought new challenges, and every day he found himself more deeply invested, not just in saving the Queen, but in understanding this world, its people, and its future. The bond between Ethan and Lyra deepened in quiet ways. He learned to anticipate her needs, to interpret the unspoken language of her people, and to provide solutions before problems escalated. And she in turn began to rely on him not only as a protector, but as a partner in thought, someone who could see possibilities beyond the rigid logic of alien protocol. One evening, while walking through the palace gardens, Lyra paused near a floating river. The light from the twin moons cast her reflection across the water, mingling with Ethan's. "You have changed how I see my world," she said quietly. "Not by force, not by cleverness, but by presence. Your courage, your compassion, it is a rare gift." Ethan felt a warmth he could not explain. I didn't come here to change anything. I just acted when it mattered. But I'm glad I could help, Lyra smiled. Perhaps humans act differently because you value life in ways my people sometimes forget. You remind us of our own humanity, even though you are not of this world. They stood in silence, watching the floating lilies drift above the water. A sense of calm settled over them, but beneath it, both knew that danger still lingered. The assassin who had fired the poisoned arrow had not yet been caught, and the factions opposing Lyra quietly plotted in shadows. Yet, for the first time, Ethan realized something profound. He was not alone. He was no longer just a visitor or a human observer. He was part of a team, part of a bond, and part of a story larger than himself. The Queen trusted him, and that trust would guide both of them through the challenges to come. As they returned to the palace, Ethan understood the truth of his situation. This world was dangerous, mysterious and full of wonders, but it was also a place where human courage, ingenuity, and heart could make a real difference. And if he continued to act with wisdom, empathy, and bravery, he could help protect not only the Queen but the future of her people. The first chapter of action had passed, but the story of trust, alliance, and adventure had only just begun. The palace buzzed with quiet tension. Ethan walked through the corridors alongside Lyra, noticing subtle changes in the atmosphere. The citizens moved with the same grace as before, but whispers seemed to float like shadows in the air. Some of the alien advisors glanced at him with suspicion, and he realized the Queen's decision to trust a human was not accepted by all. Lyra led him to the council chamber, a vast space of polished crystal walls and floating light panels. Council members had gathered, their expressions ranging from cautious to disapproving. Ethan felt the weight of their judgment even though he had never spoken a word in their language. Ethan, Lyra said softly, you must understand. Some members of the council question your presence. They fear what they do not know. They fear your unpredictability. Ethan nodded. I understand. I can't change their minds instantly, but I can show them that I mean no harm and that I can be useful. Lyra's eyes glimmered. Very well. Let us proceed. The council meeting began. Alien leaders discussed trade, planetary defenses, and education, but Ethan noticed undercurrents of tension whenever his name was mentioned. Some argued that a human had no place influencing decisions, while others admitted that his instincts had saved the Queen and the palace during the recent events. Ethan listened carefully, learning to read the subtle signs of approval or doubt among the council. Then Lyra asked him to participate, giving him a challenge. Analyze a recent threat to the city and suggest a preventive measure. Ethan stepped forward. He scanned the holographic map of the city, noting where citizens gathered, where resources were stored, and the points of vulnerability. Using logic combined with human intuition, he proposed new communication signals and emergency protocols that could protect the city without disrupting its normal flow. The council murmured. Some were impressed, others skeptical, but Lyra's approval was clear. He understands more than he lets on, she said quietly. Humans are often underestimated, yet they think differently. Sometimes differently is exactly what is needed. Ethan felt a flicker of pride. He had passed the first test, showing that his presence could contribute meaningfully to the alien society. But he also knew the real challenge was still ahead. That evening, as the twin moons reflected on the palace's floating rivers, Lyra spoke with him privately. Tomorrow there will be a ceremony to honor the council's decisions. You must attend. It is an opportunity and a test. Some may try to provoke you, some may try to unsettle me. Observe and act only when necessary. Ethan nodded. He had learned enough to understand that diplomacy on this planet was as intricate as any battlefield. The ceremony arrived. Citizens and council members gathered in a grand plaza, the architecture combining elegance with advanced technology. Floating platforms displayed the city's achievements, and glowing banners highlighted cultural symbols. Ethan stood beside Lyra, keeping a calm demeanor despite the tension he sensed. During the ceremony, a disguised threat emerged. A small device set to release a harmful gas was discovered near the ceremonial platform. It had not yet activated, but its presence was clear. Ethan's instincts kicked in. He quickly assessed the situation, recognizing the pattern and the subtle cues others had missed. Lyra, he whispered, there's a device here. We need to neutralize it carefully. Lyra's eyes widened, but she nodded. Do as you must. Using his knowledge of basic human mechanics and careful observation, Ethan disabled the device without alarming the crowd. The council members gasped in surprise, then looked at him with a mixture of respect and astonishment. Even those who had doubted him could no longer ignore his abilities. Lyra placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. You acted not out of fear, not out of desire for recognition, but to protect others. That is the truest measure of courage. Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. For the first time, he realized that he was not just helping Lyra or her citizens. He was beginning to earn their trust in a profound way. After the ceremony, the council held a private meeting. Some members still questioned the wisdom of allowing a human such influence, but even the most stubborn could not deny that Ethan had saved lives. Slowly, they began to see him not as an outsider, but as a bridge between human intuition and alien logic. The next day, Ethan accompanied Lyra on a tour of the city's defensive systems. She explained how her people had developed barriers, shields, and alert mechanisms, yet she admitted that predicting human unpredictability had been beyond her experience. You anticipate, she said thoughtfully. Your kind sees possibilities even in situations that seem controlled. That is both a strength and a lesson for us. Ethan smiled. Humans are good at improvising. We rely on observation and intuition as much as tools. Lyra nodded. I see, and that is why your presence here matters. It is not that humans are stronger or faster. It is that you think differently, and sometimes that difference is the key to survival. Over the following days, Ethan worked closely with the Queen and her advisors. He taught them strategies for rapid response, emergency communication, and subtle risk assessment. He also learned from them their advanced technology, their careful methods, and their ability to sense danger through intuition and experience. One evening, while walking through the palace gardens, Ethan noticed Lyra's gaze linger on him with quiet contemplation. You are changing more than my council's view, she said softly. You are changing my view of humans. I see now that bravery alone is not enough. Wisdom, patience, and compassion are equally important. You embody all of these, yet you do so naturally. Ethan felt a mixture of pride and humility. I've only done what anyone would do in my place. But I'm learning from you as well. Your people have a strength I've never seen before. Lyra smiled, a rare expression that seemed to light up the night. Perhaps that is the beginning of understanding between our worlds. Courage alone cannot build a bridge, but when combined with respect and cooperation, it can create something lasting. That night, Ethan lay awake, reflecting on the events of the past week. He realized that trust was fragile, especially in a world so different from his own. The Queen trusted him. Some council members were beginning to trust him, and the citizens had seen his actions. Yet there were still unseen forces working against them, plotting in silence, waiting for the right moment. He knew that he could not act recklessly. Every decision, every move, could influence not only the Queen's life but the stability of the entire planet. And yet he felt a quiet confidence growing within him, the kind of confidence that came from experience, observation, and a deep understanding of human and alien nature alike. In the quiet of the palace, Lyra looked out over the city from her private balcony. She reflected on the events that had unfolded, the bravery of the human who had saved her, and the subtle changes rippling through her society. She realized that humans, unpredictable and emotional as they were, could teach her people lessons they had long forgotten. Ethan's presence had become more than just a safeguard. It was a symbol of hope, a bridge between worlds, and a reminder that courage and wisdom were not limited to one species. As the twin moons rose high above the city, casting silver light across the floating rivers, Ethan and Lyra stood side by side. Though the council still had doubts, though danger still lingered, a bond had been forged. A bond of trust, respect, and mutual understanding. And that bond, they both knew, would guide them through the challenges yet to come. Tomorrow would bring new trials, new tests of courage and wisdom, but for tonight they stood together, ready to face whatever the future held. The palace was unusually quiet that morning. Ethan stood beside Lyra on the balcony, observing the city below. Floating rivers reflected the soft light of the twin suns, and citizens moved through the streets seemingly calm. Yet Ethan felt the familiar tension of unseen danger lingering in the air. Something is not right, he said, his voice low. The city seems peaceful, but I sense a plan unfolding somewhere in the shadows. Lyra nodded, her expression serious. I have felt it as well. We cannot ignore it. My people are strong, but this threat is clever and patient. We must act carefully. Over the following days, Ethan and Lyra worked closely together, analyzing the patterns of previous disturbances. The attacks, though small, had been precise. A poisoned arrow, the near fire in the marketplace, and strange malfunctions in city systems. It was clear that these were not random events. Someone or something was trying to destabilize the city and the Queen's rule. Do you think the intruder is part of the council? Ethan asked one evening, reviewing a holographic map of the city's activity. Lyra considered the question. It is possible. Some council members oppose me quietly. But I believe there is an outside influence as well, someone who has waited, studied, and prepared. Ethan leaned closer to the map. If that's true, then we need to find the source before they strike again. The last time we acted in the moment. This time we must plan ahead, Lyra agreed. Together they devised a strategy. Citizens would be discreetly alerted to potential danger zones. Council members would monitor critical areas. And Ethan would lead a small team combining human ingenuity with alien technology. The day of the operation arrived. Ethan moved through the city with a calm focus, instructing citizens on safety measures and observing any unusual activity. Lyra accompanied him, her presence both reassuring and commanding. Together, they were a team, balancing human improvisation with alien precision. Suddenly, a faint vibration caught Ethan's attention. He paused, crouching behind a floating platform, scanning the area carefully. A small device hidden among the decorative structures emitted a low pulse, dangerous but subtle. Lyra, he whispered, pointing. There's another device. It's not activated yet, but it could cause chaos if we don't stop it. Lyra moved silently to his side, her hand hovering near the device. With delicate precision, she used her own energy field to contain it, while Ethan carefully disarmed the mechanism. The two exchanged a quick glance. Neither spoke, but the understanding was clear. Their cooperation had prevented another disaster. As they moved through the city, they discovered a pattern. The disturbances were not random. They were directed toward the city's central power source, a crystalline core that powered the floating rivers, lights, and defensive systems. If damaged, it could disrupt the entire city. We have to protect the core, Ethan said. It's the key to keeping everything safe. Lyra nodded. And I believe I know where the intruder is hiding. Follow me. They traveled to a hidden chamber beneath the city, accessible only to those who knew its secret path. Inside, they found the source, a group of devices connected by energy lines designed to overload and disrupt the city's systems. It was a delicate balance. One wrong move, and the entire city could face chaos. Ethan examined the devices. We can neutralize this, but we need to work together. Your technology and my logic, combined, we can stop it without harm. Lyra smiled faintly. Then let us begin. For hours they worked side by side. Ethan suggested rerouting the energy flow, while Lyra stabilized the devices with her alien abilities. It was a careful dance of precision, timing, and trust. Every step mattered. Every second counted. Finally, the last device was secured, the energy line stabilized, and the potential disaster averted. They stepped back, breathing heavily but triumphant. You acted with calm and insight, Lyra said, her eyes glowing softly. Humans often rush into danger, but you think before acting. That is a rare quality even among your kind. Ethan smiled, feeling both relief and pride. I've learned from you. You see the patterns, anticipate the risks, and guide the people. I just try to adapt and assist. Their victory, however, revealed another truth. The devices had been placed with knowledge of the city's layout, which meant the intruder had access to detailed information. The threat was not yet over. It was clever, patient, and still unknown. Lyra's expression grew serious. We have acted in the moment and prevented disaster, but now we must find who planned this. The safety of my people depends on it. Ethan nodded. Then we'll find them. Together. The next day, Lyra and Ethan gathered the council. She explained the events, highlighting how human insight and cooperation had prevented catastrophe. The council members listened, some with surprise, some with cautious admiration. One of the elder advisors spoke finally. The human has proven his worth in action, but can he understand the deeper subtleties of our society? Can he foresee the consequences of decisions that affect generations? Ethan met the elder's gaze calmly. "I may not know everything about your history or customs, but I understand danger, people, and patterns. I can see connections others might miss. I want to help, not lead, but to protect and assist." Lyra's hand hovered over Ethan's shoulder. He has already proven his insight and loyalty, and his courage is matched by intelligence. Trust, in this case, is earned, not given blindly. Slowly, the council began to see a new perspective. Humans, unpredictable as they were, could provide insight that even the most careful planning might overlook. Ethan's presence was not a threat, it was a new resource. A bridge between thought and action, between caution and courage. Over the following weeks, Ethan worked with Lyra and her people to strengthen defenses, anticipate future threats, and build systems that combined human creativity with alien precision. Citizens began to respect him, seeing that he genuinely cared for their safety and well-being. One evening, Ethan and Lyra stood together on the palace balcony, overlooking the city. The twin moons reflected on the floating rivers, casting silver light across the landscape. "You have changed my perspective," Lyra said quietly, "not just of humans, but of what leadership can be. Courage and wisdom, when combined, can inspire hope in ways even my people sometimes forget." Ethan felt a deep sense of satisfaction. "And I've learned that courage alone is not enough. Planning, patience, and understanding are just as important. I think we make a good team." Lyra's smile was gentle, almost approving. "Yes, a team. Together we can face challenges that neither of us could face alone." As they watched the city glow under the moons, both knew that danger was not gone. It was only delayed. The intruder, clever and patient, would continue to plot. But now, humans and aliens were united, stronger together, ready to face whatever came next. Ethan realized a profound truth. Heroism was not just about individual acts of bravery. It was about collaboration, empathy, and trust. By working together, species could achieve what no one could alone, and that bond, tested by danger and strengthened by understanding, would guide them through the trials yet to come. The night air was calm, but both Ethan and Lyra remained vigilant. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new mysteries, and new opportunities to prove that courage, when combined with wisdom and trust, could overcome even the most cunning threats. For the first time, Ethan felt that he was not just a human on an alien world, he was a part of a larger story, one where his actions could shape the future of an entire civilization. And that knowledge filled him with quiet determination, ready to face whatever came next. The morning sun bathed the palace in a golden glow, reflecting off the floating rivers and the translucent leaves of the alien forests. Ethan stood on the balcony beside Lyra, surveying the city. Despite the calm exterior, both knew the threat had not fully disappeared. The devices and plots they had discovered were only part of a larger plan, and someone still lurked in the shadows, determined to destabilize the Queen's rule. "Today," Lyra said, her voice quiet but determined, "we will uncover the source of these disturbances. It is time to act decisively but carefully." Ethan nodded. "We've prepared, observed patterns, and strengthened defenses. I believe we're ready." Their first step was to gather the council. Every member, from the most skeptical to the most loyal, attended the meeting. Lyra addressed them calmly, her words carrying authority and wisdom. "The recent incidents were deliberate, designed to test our city and our resolve. We cannot ignore them. The intruder's plan must be discovered and neutralized without harming our people or our values." The council listened intently. Ethan presented his observations, carefully explaining the patterns he had discovered, the likely locations for the intruder's hideouts, and the strategies to prevent further harm. He emphasized collaboration between humans and aliens, combining intuition, technology, and insight. Some council members remained wary, but Lyra's endorsement and the proof of Ethan's previous actions swayed even the skeptics. Slowly, they agreed to follow the plan. Ethan led a small team through hidden pathways beneath the city, alongside Lyra and trusted council members. They moved silently, blending human caution with alien precision. The energy lines from the previous disturbances provided clues, guiding them toward the intruder's lair. Finally, they reached a concealed chamber deep underground. The room was filled with devices, charts, and symbols, evidence of meticulous planning. Ethan carefully examined each device while Lyra scanned for any hidden energy fields. Together, they pieced together the conspiracy. A faction of outsiders had infiltrated the city, aiming to destabilize it and exploit the chaos for control. "The intruder is clever," Ethan said. "They expected us to respond in predictable ways, but we've combined strategy and instinct. That is what gives us an advantage," Lyra nodded. "Then we act now with care and precision. Our goal is to stop them without unnecessary harm." Working together, the team deactivated the devices, neutralized the energy fields, and secured the charts. Each step required coordination. Ethan's human ingenuity anticipated potential traps, while Lyra's alien abilities stabilized the systems. Slowly, the chamber transformed from a threat into a controlled environment. At the center of the room, they found the source. A group of infiltrators, humanoid but not of Lyra's kind, attempting to flee. Ethan and the council members moved quickly but without aggression, using containment fields to ensure no one was harmed. Lyra approached the captured infiltrators, her presence commanding yet calm. "You have sought to harm my people and disrupt our home, yet your actions need not end in destruction. We offer a chance to explain, to understand, and to cooperate rather than conflict." One of the intruders, trembling, stepped forward. We only wanted resources. We did not expect such cooperation or strength." "We were wrong." Lyra's eyes softened. "Recognition of one's mistakes is the first step toward change. You will not be punished for your curiosity or ambition, but you will learn to respect the balance of our world and the value of life." Ethan watched quietly, admiring her wisdom. This was not just leadership, it was understanding, guiding, and teaching. Humans often acted decisively, but Lyra's approach added empathy and long-term vision. Together, their strengths complemented each other perfectly. With the immediate threat neutralized, Lyra and Ethan returned to the city, greeted by citizens who had sensed the resolution. There was relief, admiration, and a newfound trust in the alliance between humans and aliens. The council formally recognized Ethan's contributions, appointing him as an honorary ambassador of humans to their world. Ethan stood beside Lyra during the ceremony, feeling a profound sense of accomplishment. He had arrived as a visitor, acted instinctively to protect a life, and now had earned the respect of an entire civilization. Yet he remained humble, understanding that this achievement was the result of collaboration, trust, and shared courage. Later, in the quiet of the palace gardens, Lyra spoke to Ethan privately. "You have done more than protect me or prevent disasters. You have inspired my people, reminded us of values we sometimes overlook, and shown that courage and wisdom together can change the course of history." Ethan looked around the garden, seeing the floating lilies bathed in moonlight. "I only acted when needed. But I've learned so much from your people, from your leadership. You've taught me that courage must be guided by thought, and strength by compassion." Lyra smiled. "And together, we have proven that unity, understanding, and respect can overcome any challenge. This is the beginning of a new era, for my people and for the bond between our species." The weeks that followed were filled with rebuilding, improvement, and cooperation. Humans shared knowledge of technology, problem-solving, and strategy, while Lyra's people taught humans about their culture, energy systems, and advanced methods of communication. Cities became safer, defenses stronger, and society more connected. Ethan walked through the city one evening, observing the citizens moving freely and confidently. Children laughed as they floated above the rivers, guided by gentle energy fields. Adults worked together, blending human and alien methods to solve problems. It was a world alive with potential, where fear no longer dictated action but hope inspired progress. Lyra joined him on a balcony overlooking the city. "Look at them," she said. "This is what we protect, what we build, what we achieve when we act together. Humans and aliens side by side, learning from each other." Ethan smiled. "It's amazing. I never imagined that a single act, shielding you from that arrow, could lead to this." Lyra placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "That moment was important, yes, but it was what followed, trust, cooperation, courage, that shaped the future. You showed the value of human instinct, and together, we have turned it into strength." They stood in silence, watching the glowing city. The twin moons reflected in the rivers, casting a silver shimmer that seemed to unify the world. Citizens, council members, and visitors alike moved with purpose and harmony. Ethan realized that his journey had transformed him too. He was no longer a visitor. He was a participant in something greater, a bridge between worlds. In the quiet night, Lyra spoke again. "The future will bring new challenges, Ethan, but we are ready. Your presence here has proven that courage, intelligence, and heart can create bonds that transcend worlds." Ethan nodded. "And together we will face whatever comes, not just to protect but to build, to understand, and to inspire." The palace, the city, and the floating rivers were calm, yet full of life. A sense of hope and unity filled the air. Humans and aliens had proven that despite differences, cooperation and trust could overcome even the most cunning threats. As the first rays of the twin suns painted the horizon, Ethan and Lyra stood together, looking out at a world renewed. The future was theirs to shape, not through fear, not through force, but through courage, wisdom, and a bond that could not be broken. The story of a human who had shielded an alien queen had become more than an act of bravery. It had sparked a new era of understanding, alliance, and hope, and as they looked over the thriving city, both knew that this was only the beginning. Human courage, alien wisdom, and shared purpose had created something lasting. A future where both species could flourish side by side. And in that knowledge, Ethan felt a quiet pride and a promise that no matter what challenges came next, they would face them together.